My sweet wife went on a joke blind double date to help her friend. Now she changed and is in love with another man. I, 34M, never thought I'd be writing this post. My wife, Emma, 32, and I have been married for 6 years, together for 9. I never doubted her love for a second. We built a good life together. I work as a software engineer for a mid-sized tech company, and Emma is an elementary school teacher. We bought a small house last year, adopted a golden retriever named Buddy, and we're talking about starting a family soon. Everything was perfect until 2 months ago. Emma's best friend Kristen, 33, has been single for about a year after her engagement fell apart. She recently decided to try dating apps but was nervous about meeting strangers. She begged Emma to join her on a blind double date as moral support. The guy from the app was bringing his friend, so it would be a perfect setup. Emma asked me if I'd mind, and I said of course not. I trusted her completely, why wouldn't I? She was so in love with me she once turned down a chance to meet her celebrity crush at a fan event because it fell on our anniversary. The night of the date, she kissed me goodbye, told me she'd rather be staying home with me, and promised to be back early. She came home around 11, bubbling with stories about how awkward Kristen had been and how the guys were nice enough but nothing special. I didn't think anything of it. But looking back now, I realized she mentioned James, the friend, several times in her recap, how he traveled to 15 countries, how he worked as a marketing executive, how he told this funny story about meeting a celebrity. Little details I didn't pay attention to at the time. The next morning, Emma was different. Not in any obvious way. She made breakfast as usual, kissed me goodbye when I left for work, but something subtle had shifted. That evening, while we were watching TV, she asked me out of nowhere, "Have you ever thought about getting highlights in your hair?" Highlights? I laughed. Not really my thing. Why? Just curious, she said casually. I think you might look good with them. I thought nothing of it. 2 days later, she asked if I'd ever considered upgrading my wardrobe. Those button-downs you wear are nice, but maybe something more fitted would look good on you. Something that shows off your shoulders more? Again, I didn't connect the dots. Emma had always been supportive of my simple style jeans, t-shirts, the occasional button-down for nicer occasions. I just replied that I was comfortable with what I had. A week later, Kristen asked Emma to join her for another double date with the same guys. Emma seemed hesitant but agreed because Kristen claimed she couldn't face them alone and was actually interested in her match. Again, I had no concerns. When Emma came home that night, she was quieter than after the first date. When I asked how it went, she just said, "Fine. Kristen's still figuring out if she likes this guy." Then she immediately changed the subject, asking if I'd ever thought about joining a gym. I mean, I get enough exercise running a few times a week, I said. Why? No reason, she replied. Just thinking it might be fun to try something new together. The next day, Emma suggested we go shopping. She picked out 3 form-fitting shirts for me, all in colors I rarely wore. When I tried them on, she studied me with an intensity that felt strange, like she was looking for something specific. "That blue one brings out your eyes," she said finally, but she sounded almost disappointed. Over the next week, Emma's behavior became increasingly odd. She asked me to try styling my hair differently. She suggested I change my cologne. She even asked if I'd ever taken a public speaking course. Why would I need that? I asked, confused. "You're great one-on-one," she said, "but in groups, you tend to fade into the background. Don't you want to be the person everyone listens to when you speak?" That stung a bit. I'd always been more reserved in group settings, but Emma had never seemed to mind before. In fact, she used to say she loved how I was thoughtful and didn't feel the need to dominate conversations. The questions continued, becoming more specific and comparative. "Do you think you'll ever get promoted to team lead? Have you measured your height recently? I always thought you were 5 feet 11 inches, but maybe you're 5 feet 10 inches. Do you think confidence is something you're born with or something you develop?" One night, she asked me to tell her about my day, and when I did, she interrupted with, "Could you make it sound more exciting? Like, put more animation in your voice?" I stared at her. My day wasn't particularly exciting. Emma. I debugged code for 6 hours. "I know, but it's about how you tell it," she said. Some people could make debugging sound like an adventure. It hit me then she was comparing me to someone, and I had a sinking feeling I knew who. The third time Kristen invited Emma on a double date, I jokingly said, "Again, should I be worried?" Emma laughed it off, saying, "Don't be silly. You know you're the only one for me." But her kiss goodbye felt different, perfunctory, distracted. That night, I decided to try an experiment. When Emma came home, I greeted her with unusual enthusiasm, telling her about my day with exaggerated hand gestures and dramatic pauses, the way a professional storyteller might. Her face lit up in a way I hadn't seen in weeks. "That's exactly what I mean," she exclaimed. "See how much more engaging that is?" My heart sank. I was right, she was trying to mold me into someone else. The next morning, Emma suggested I wear one of the new shirts she'd bought me to work. When I put it on, she frowned slightly. "Maybe try rolling up the sleeves and stand up straighter, shoulders back." I complied, feeling increasingly like an actor auditioning for a role. She studied me, then sighed almost imperceptibly. "That's better," she said, but her tone suggested it still wasn't quite right. That weekend, Emma mentioned Kristen was organizing a dinner party and had invited us. When I asked who would be there, she listed several couples, then added casually, "Oh, and James might come too, since he knows most of the group now." I felt a knot form in my stomach. James from the blind dates? I thought those were just to support Kristen. Why is he still in the picture if she's not interested in her match anymore? Emma looked flustered for a moment. He and Kristen's date were friends before, so he's just part of the group now. It's no big deal. At the dinner party, I finally met James. He was exactly as I'd feared: tall, physically fit without being overly muscular, with natural highlights in his stylishly messy hair. He wore a fitted blue button-down with the sleeves rolled up, almost identical to the one Emma had bought me. When he spoke, everyone at the table leaned in slightly. His stories were animated, his hands punctuating key points, his voice modulating perfectly between excitement and thoughtful pauses. I watched Emma watching him. The admiration in her eyes was unmistakable. Worse, I recognized all the little changes she'd been trying to make in me. She wanted me to be more like him. Throughout dinner, James directed several comments to Emma, inside jokes from their previous meetings. Each time, she laughed a bit too enthusiastically, her cheeks flushing. I noticed how she kept fixing her hair, touching her necklace, nervous gestures I'd seen when we first started dating. After that night, Emma began asking to meet Kristen for coffee or shopping several times a week. She'd come home with no purchases or mention of what stores they'd visited. She changed her phone password. She started working out. She bought new clothes that weren't her usual style. I was getting worried, but told myself I was being paranoid. This was Emma, my sweet, devoted wife who once wrote me a 365 Reasons Why I Love You jar for our anniversary. The truth came in the most unexpected way. I was at a bookstore across town when I ran into Kristen, the very person Emma was supposedly having lunch with at that moment. When I mentioned this, Kristen looked confused, then uncomfortable. She pulled me aside between the bookshelves and told me something that stopped my heart. "I've only been on 2 dates with that guy, and I ended things weeks ago. I don't know who Emma's been meeting, but it's not been with me." Then she hesitated before adding, "There's something else." On our second double date, James kept flirting with Emma. She seemed uncomfortable, so I pulled her aside and teased her that James was better than you know, just joking around to lighten the mood. I said he was more charming, more confident, stupid stuff. I told her I was kidding right away, but she got this strange look on her face. I'm worried I put something in her head. I felt like I'd been punched. Kristen apologized profusely, saying she'd noticed Emma and James exchanging looks that night but didn't think anything would come of it. She'd been shocked when Emma texted her a week later asking for James's number for a friend. I drove home in a daze and waited for Emma. When she arrived, I simply asked, "How was lunch with Kristen?" She launched into a detailed story about their imaginary meal, not realizing she'd just walked into a trap. When I quietly told her I'd seen Kristen at the bookstore, her face changed. Not embarrassment or shame. Her expression hardened in a way I'd never seen before. "I guess we need to talk," she said coldly. What followed was the most painful conversation of my life. "Are you seeing James?" I asked, my voice surprisingly steady. Emma sat across from me, her posture rigid. "Yes," she said simply. "How long?" 3 weeks since after the third double date. Do you have feelings for him?" I could barely get the words out. Her eyes met mine, and I saw something I'd never seen in them before: a cold certainty. "Yes, I do." I felt like I was falling through the floor. "Why? What happened to us?" 2 months ago, you were leaving love notes in my laptop bag. Emma sighed that I thought you were my soulmate. I really did. But I was wrong. Wrong? After 9 years together, you just suddenly realized you were wrong? My voice was rising now. James is different. When he talks to me, I feel seen in a way I never have before. When he touches my hand, I get butterflies. When he kisses me. She paused, seeing my flinch. I never want him to stop. Each word was like a knife. "And with me? You never felt that way with me?" I thought I did. Maybe I did, in the beginning. But it's different with him. More intense, more real. I was struggling to breathe. "What about all the time we've spent together? Our house? Our plans for the future? Are you just going to throw everything away?" Emma's face remained impassive. "You're a good man. You've been a good husband. But James makes me happier. He's more physically attractive to me. When he holds my hand, when he touches my hair, when he looks at me, I feel something I've never felt before. You never felt that with me? All those years." I was begging now, hating myself for it, but unable to stop that I thought I did. I convinced myself I did. But now I know what it really feels like. I stood up, needing to move, to do something with the energy coursing through me. "This is insane. You can't just flip a switch on 9 years of love because some guy makes your heart beat faster." Emma's voice remained eerily calm. "I didn't plan this. I didn't want to hurt you. But I can't ignore how I feel. How can you be so cold about this? Where's the woman I married? Maybe she never really existed. Maybe I've been playing a role I thought I was supposed to play." I slammed my hand on the counter, making her jump. "Don't rewrite our entire history. You loved me. I know you did." For a second, her mask slipped, and I saw pain flicker across her face. "I did love you in my way, But it wasn't enough that it isn't enough. What does he have that I don't? I demanded, my pride in tatters, but needing to know. Emma hesitated. He's more confident, more spontaneous, that he works out and has this physical presence that commands attention. When we're together, everything feels exciting. He challenges me, makes me feel alive. And I don't. My voice broke on the question. We're comfortable, predictable, safe. She said these words like they were indictments. Since when is safe a bad thing? Since when is building a life together not enough? I don't know how to explain it. Every time he touches me, I feel this electric current. Every time he talks, I hang on his words that I never knew I could feel this way. This isn't real, Emma. This is infatuation. This is fantasy. She shook her head firmly. It's more real than anything I've ever felt. I sat back down, suddenly exhausted. So what now? You're leaving me? For a guy you've known for what? 2 months. I need time to figure things out. Her voice had softened slightly. I care about you. I don't want to hurt you. But I can't deny what I'm feeling anymore. Did you sleep with him? I had to ask, though I dreaded the answer. No, but I wanted to. Her honesty was brutal that we talked for hours, going around in circles. Me pointing out all we'd built together. Her repeating that James made her feel something I never had. Me reminding her of our history. Her insisting that chemistry and passion trumped shared memories. Do you realize what you've been doing these past few weeks? I finally asked, trying to turn me into him. Emma looked startled. What are you talking about? The highlights. The fitted shirts. The public speaking suggestions. You've been trying to mold me into James. She opened her mouth to deny it, then closed it. I didn't realize I was doing that. But you were. You met this guy and suddenly I wasn't enough anymore. So you tried to fix me, to make me more like him. Emma looked down, and I saw the first genuine emotion from her shame. I didn't mean to. I saw how he was, how people responded to him. And I thought maybe you could be more like him. I finished. Be someone I'm not. I'm sorry, she whispered. That wasn't fair to you. It was the first authentic moment in our entire conversation, but it didn't change anything. By morning, Emma had packed a bag and gone to stay with her sister. The next few weeks were a blur of pain and confusion. Emma would text occasionally, always coolly polite. She was thinking things through. She needed space to understand her feelings. Each message was like a twist of the knife. A month after she left, Emma asked to meet for coffee. My heart soared with hope that quickly crashed when I saw her face. She looked different somehow, glowing with a happiness I hadn't seen before. But her eyes were sad when they met mine. That I'm moving in with James, she said gently. I filed for divorce. Despite expecting it, the finality hit me hard. Just like that? 9 years together. And you can throw it away for someone you barely know? I know enough, she said softly. I know how he makes me feel. I'm sorry, but I can't come back knowing what I'd be giving up. I asked if she ever truly loved me. Her answer haunts me. I love the idea of you. Of us. I loved our story and our plans. But I never felt with you what I feel with him. Every touch, every kiss, it's just different. I can't explain it. I wish I could. The divorce was finalized 3 months later. I got the house, she got her freedom. Through mutual friends, I heard she'd moved in with James and seemed blissfully happy. I blocked her on social media, couldn't bear to see it. I threw myself into work, got a promotion. Started hitting the gym regularly, not to become like James, but because the physical exertion made new friends through a hiking group. Slowly, the constant ache began to dull. 6 months after our divorce, I ran into Kristen at a coffee shop. She apologized again for her role in what happened, then hesitated before saying, "They're engaged. I thought you should hear it from someone who cares about you rather than through the grapevine." I thanked her for her honesty, surprised by how the news affected me. It still hurt, but the pain was duller now, more like an old injury that aches when it rains. I received the wedding invitation 3 months later, not from Emma directly, but from her mother, who had always liked me and perhaps didn't understand the depth of what had happened. I didn't go, of course, but I sent a brief message wishing them happiness. I meant it, mostly. I wanted Emma to be happy. I just wished her happiness hadn't come at the cost of mine. Update, 2 years later. I never expected this post to get so much attention. Thank you all for your support during the darkest time of my life. I promised an update if anything significant happened. And well, life has a way of surprising you. The past 2 years have been a journey of rebuilding. The promotion I mentioned turned into a new role at a larger company with better opportunities. I sold the house, too many memories, and bought a modern apartment downtown, completely different from anywhere Emma and I had lived. I adopted a rescue dog named Max, who's become my loyal companion. I dated casually, but nothing serious, until about 8 months ago. That's when I met Olivia at a friend's birthday party. She's nothing like Emma. She's a graphic designer, artistic and creative, where Emma was practical, with a quiet confidence that doesn't need to command a room. Our relationship developed slowly, thoughtfully. She knows my story and has been patient with my lingering trust issues. Last month, I was at a restaurant with Olivia when I saw them, Emma and James, sitting at a corner table. They didn't notice me at first. I watched them for a moment. This couple that had formed at the expense of my marriage. They looked normal, not blissfully happy, miserable, just a regular married couple having dinner. Emma was scrolling through her phone while James talked. He seemed annoyed by her inattention. Olivia noticed my distraction and followed my gaze. Is that? She asked quietly. I nodded. Before I could suggest we leave, Emma looked up and saw me. Her eyes widened, and she nudged James, who glanced over disinterestedly. After an awkward moment, Emma excused herself from her table and walked over to ours. Olivia squeezed my hand supportively. Hi, Emma said, looking between us. It's good to see you. You too? I replied, surprised to find I meant it. This is Olivia. Olivia, this is Emma. They exchanged polite greetings, and then Emma said, You look well. Happy. I am, I said simply. Emma glanced back at her table, where James was now on his phone. I should get back. It was nice to see you. As she turned to go, something made me ask, Are you happy, Emma? She paused, then gave me a smile that didn't quite reach her eyes. I made my choice. I'm living with it. After she returned to her table, Olivia asked if I was okay. I realized with some surprise that I was. Seeing Emma and James, this couple that had once represented everything I'd lost, had affected me less than I'd expected. They weren't some perfect, passionate pair existing in a perpetual state of romantic bliss. They were just people, with all the mundane reality that entails. A week later, I received an unexpected email from Emma. She congratulated me on looking well and said Olivia seemed lovely. Then came the part that floored me. I want you to know that I don't regret loving you for 9 years. I do regret how things ended and the pain I caused you. What I told you that day was both true and not true. James did make me feel something intense, something I hadn't felt with you in a long time. But what I didn't understand then was that feelings like that aren't sustainable. They're not meant to be. The life James and I have built isn't bad. But it's not the fairy tale I convinced myself it would be. I threw away something real and lasting for something that, while still meaningful, isn't the constant euphoria I imagined. I thought the butterflies and electricity would last forever. They don't. I'm and electricity would last forever. They don't. I'm not telling you this because I want to get back together. That would be unfair to you, to James, and to Olivia. I'm telling you because I want you to know that what we had was valuable and real, even if I couldn't see it clearly then. I hope you find everything you deserve with someone who appreciates it. I didn't respond to the email. There was nothing to say, really. Emma had made her choice, and I had finally made peace with it. Her acknowledgement didn't change the past, but it did help me close that chapter of my life with a bit more understanding. Last weekend, Olivia and I were hiking with Max when she mentioned she'd been offered a job in Seattle. It would mean a big change for both of us if we wanted to stay together. 2 years ago, such uncertainty would have terrified me. But standing on that mountain trail, looking at this woman who loves me for exactly who I am, I realized I was ready for a new adventure. Some people come into our lives and leave permanent marks, for better or worse. Emma taught me that love isn't always enough, that sometimes people change in ways you can't predict or prevent. But she also, inadvertently, taught me resilience. And for that, strangely enough, I'm grateful. Life isn't a fairy tale. Real relationships don't maintain that initial electric charge forever. They transform into something deeper, more complex, built on choice as much as feeling. Every day with Olivia, I choose to be present, to be honest, to be myself, not some version of me I think she wants. As for Emma and James, I wish them well. I hope they find their way to contentment, even if it's not the passionate ideal Emma once imagined. And I hope that someday she realizes that the steady flame of lasting love burns longer and warmer than even the brightest spark of infatuation. Edit. Thank you all for the supportive comments. To answer some common questions, no, I don't hate Emma. I did for a while, but hatred is exhausting, and ultimately, it only hurt me more. Several people have asked if I think Emma regrets her choice. Based on her email, I think she regrets how she handled things and has realized that her expectations were unrealistic. But regret isn't the same as wanting to undo a choice. I think she's committed to the path she chose, even if it's not everything she imagined. Yes, Olivia knows the full story, and no, she's not worried about history repeating itself. As she wisely pointed out, my experience with Emma has made me more attentive to the health of our relationship, not less. To those asking if I'll move to Seattle with Olivia, we're still discussing it, but I'm leaning toward yes. Sometimes you have to take a leap of faith.